You're listening to the Youth Critic Podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG. If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network. And now for the podcast.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps. This is your mission should you choose to accept it. Should you or any member of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow all knowledge of your actions. Ethan Hunt will be your point man as usual. Good luck, Jim.
Simple game. Is he serious?
Always.
It's much worse than you think.
We're being ambushed. Abort, that's an order. They knew we were coming. Do you read me?
I don't care how he did it. I want to know why he did it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Youth Critic Retrospectives. I am your host, Kel Smith. Joining me today is James Rasile.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And today we are going to the Mission Impossible films. Yes, none of these a special anniversary, but since the new one is out and the first one's been out for 22 something years or 22 whatever, we're going to talk about it. Me and James, we're going to talk about it, and then I'll release the Mission Impossible Fallout review podcast. So, James, what are your thoughts on the Mission Impossible movies overall?
Da-na-na, da-na. I have liked more than I have disliked, for sure. I saw, true story because I'm old, I saw the very first one in the theater, and I was super, super excited to see it, and I really, really loved it. And I was super excited to see the second movie in the theater. And then I did not bother to see the third or the fourth one in the theater. But and I missed out on Rogue Nation, the fifth one in the theater, because of time. I don't know. I can't remember why. I think I was out of the country. I was on vacation for most of its run. So I missed out on Rogue Nation in the theater, got it on home video on Betamax. By the way, the first Mission Impossible was the very last film to be released on Betamax. And I really loved Rogue Nation. Haven't had a chance to see Fallout as of this recording, but I'm very much hoping to see Fallout very soon. I've heard... Can I tell you what I've heard of Fallout? Am I allowed to do that?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So I have heard... I only know two people who have seen Mission Impossible Fallout. It's made $1 bazillion, and I only know two people who have seen it. And the reviews have been mixed. One liked it, and one did not like it, but both had a lot of problems with it. So I'm curious to see. I'm looking forward to it. Look, I'm one of the people that just, I don't know, I want to see the Tom Cruise crazy stunts when I go see this movie.
Well, it continues here, or it continues in this scene. The stunt spectacular continues in Fallout. So James, starting with Mission Impossible, you saw this in the first one, or you saw this in the theater, and what are your thoughts on the first movie? Because my thoughts are generally, I have high praise for this, but what are your thoughts on it?
When it came out, I don't know if this is on Rotten Tomatoes or not, but I remember there being a lot of negative press for it, at least. I don't know about reviews, but I remember hearing a lot of negative things going into the theater. Because I remember I saw it, what year did it come out? 96. So I was about 15 years old when I went to go see it. I remember my dad asked me what I thought of it.
6.
Yeah, 96. So I remember my dad asked me what I thought of it because I really enjoyed it in the theater. I really had a blast watching it. I thought it was a really good movie. I remember my dad saying that, you know, he heard it wasn't very good. And the actor from the TV series that played the John Voight character in that movie was really pissed off that they, can I spoil this 22-year-old movie? That they made his character a bad guy. But I really like that little twist at the end. I love that Emilio Estevez was in it at the very beginning, one of the forgotten
Go ahead.
cameos. I really love that. The opening sequence is still to this day one of my favorites in movies, period.
Yeah, I love Mission Impossible 1. It's such a well done Hitchcockian thriller with his voyeurism, and it's shot like even the train scene with it being very overly lit Sunday, and they're on this, they're in front of a green screen the entire time during that train scene. Like it feels very Hitchcockian in every way, every shape or form. And I loved it. I mean, I think the writing is strong. It's some of the strongest here in this franchise, and especially with the twist of John Voight being the villain, because I think that is, and it really does shape the character for future movies. I feel like,
and it's amazing that they have
I loved it. It's one of my favorites of the franchise.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing that the whole mask, Scooby-Doo mask, is something that they've stuck with through all the movies. Have never forgotten, and the way they've used it in future movies has been very creative and entertaining, and I love it. By the way, is this podcast going to self-destruct when it's over?
This podcast, maybe it'll just self-destruct if you choose to accept it. It must be a joy. It must be the saddest job ever to make those little videos or make those little messages for those people, and then know at the end of the day, after you put all that hard work into it, it's just going to blow up 5 seconds later.
Yeah, the most depressing job of all time. Hey, write down this top secret information. We're just going to destroy your creative writing.
Yep. But yeah, I love the first one. I think Brian De Palma made a really good thriller, a really good international thriller. If I had any criticism of the first movie, it's that, and it's a common problem with the spy genre and spy movies in general, is that the female character kind of just gets used as a tool, and in this one, De Palma really does try and flip it, in that, she's a character that just gets used and screwed over, but still, it never quite works in an interesting, in a way that makes the character in anything interesting, or anything more compelling in a way. So, but I don't know. I love it. The cast is really good, and that team dynamic, because half the team is the part of the problem or becomes a villain later. But I gotta hand it to Ving Rhames for that cast, for being just a really good hacker, really good Luthor, because I mean it's an inspired choice, such an inspired decision. So, do you have any more thoughts on Mission? Moving on.
No, I think it is a unique film where I think it's one of those ones where there's 6 of them now, and it's, the Mission Impossible franchise is very unique, I find. But I'm really happy that you liked the first one, because I really enjoyed a lot of that film. I had it on VHS, DVD, and I have a digital copy of it. I like popping in it from time to time. I think it's just a smart movie. Even though, like I said, the mask and then him falling and doing like the spreading before he hits the ground, are things that the franchise has carried over, but it's very different. It's very different from the next five films now.
Oh, okay. Hello, are you still there? Okay. So moving on to Mission Impossible 2, I generally do like this movie. I know it's flawed. I know the story. I know the movie is basically a carbon copy of Alfred Hitchcock's Notorious, but I genuinely think it's a masterpiece in action from one of the greatest action filmmakers of the 90s, or maybe not one of the greatest, but maybe one of the more just like amazing, ambitious action filmmakers from the 90s.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair to say.
Yeah. So with this one, the way this movie opens, it's just totally opens with a cartoonish plane crash, and then it opens with Tom Cruise hanging on the side of a mountain, and he gets a missile thrown at him, and he gets caught, and he gets to catch it, and then it reveals its glasses, and then he throws the glasses at the screen, breaking the fourth wall, and it explodes into the credits. I mean, if that doesn't spell extreme, I don't know what does.
This movie is a whole lot of extreme and a whole lot of close-ups of Tom Cruise's
But
face.
what are your thoughts, James?
Mission Impossible 2,
Yeah.
I think Mission Impossible 2 is, for me, again, I'm old, so I saw this in the theater, and I remember really feeling like it was a misstep in a lot of ways. I remember being underwhelmed by it. I don't really know what else to say. I think, like I said, I really, really loved the very first Mission Impossible. And I felt, like you said, John Woo did this, so, there are pigeons and doves and things flying all around and super slow-mo. And, the beginning of Austin Powers' Goldmember is kind of a parody of Mission Impossible 2. And I think that's really, that makes a lot of sense. I think the movie's a little over the top, but I think it might be something that has aged better with time in a lot of ways, and I think it might age better because of how good the last few Mission Impossible movies have become.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way I would describe it is it's a part of its time in that it came from the era where Tony Scott, Michael Bay, and John Woo were all like making these movies or that were just stupid and dumb, but they had all these but they were fun at their over the topness, and they were kind of praised for that too. So and on top of that, that was the big thing with Mission, or not with John Woo, or really sorry, but John Woo, is that he was making they wanted to make with this movie a over the top big action movie that leaned more towards what general audiences would love, and this was the kind of movie they were thinking it would be, and for a while they were right. I mean, this full Mission Ghost Protocol later.
The interesting thing that I find with these is when you look at them, how movies have just kind of started finding themselves around this time. Because action movies were kind of there, but not really. And like Die Hard kind of kind of set this new bar, this new way of making action movies. And I don't mean the premise of Die Hard. I mean in the editing and the shot composition, stuff like that. So they were kind of growing and things like that. And there was still, action movies were still kind of getting their feet wet in a lot of ways. And then you come up to the late 90s, and they have all this new information on action movies. So they're playing around more and they're trying new things that I think maybe at the time we didn't necessarily appreciate or even maybe respect to a certain degree. But now you look at it with a new outlook on it, and you think, oh, maybe what was happening in this movie was out of necessity for the future of cinema itself. Not to say that Mission Impossible 2 is the most important movie ever made. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I think that's how it really kind of comes out as is this is a product of its time, and this is where action movies were at that time, and it's 20 years later, it's kind of fascinating to see.
And also, I would throw in the band in there that it's the thing with Mission Impossible 2 is that it's very much like I know it seems messy for this film to already try and deconstruct Ethan Hunt, the character, but we've only seen him in one movie. I mean, that's kind of what the point of Sean Ambrose is as a character. He's supposed to be the anti-Ethan Hunt. But the issue with that is we only have seen Ethan Hunt in one movie. So I mean, the movie makes odd decisions, like having a whole scene where Sean Ambrose basically describes Ethan Hunt's whole plan, even though he's just going by speculation. And it's just so, I mean, there are really dumb things. And also, I mean, the movie would have probably ended right there and then if Tom Cruise and Thandie Newton's character just jumped out of that building together somehow. Like, because I mean, it's possible. This movie's dumb enough to where it somehow could have made that work, but for the convenience of the script and because we need a big, masculine fight sequence, which was in Doug Reese Scott at the end, they can't grab. They have to let Thandie Newton still be with Doug Reese Scott the movie. So or I guess it would be the fourth act of this movie, because technically that would have been the third act. So it's an oddball of a movie. It's not great, but I genuinely thought Mission Impossible 2 was enjoyable enough to go on for 2 hours. And I mean, I just throughout the entire movie and how ridiculous it was.
When was the first time you saw Mission Impossible 2? MI2?
I think a couple of years. It was right around when I saw, because I didn't after Ghost Protocol. Ghost Protocol was the first one I saw right out the bat, and I saw that one in theaters. And I didn't see any of the movies then, but I did watch the movies for Rogue. I think after Rogue Nation, and that's when I saw it, and that's when I saw Mission Impossible 2.
Da-da-da. Da-da-da. That's my music cue.
So are you ready to talk about the third one?
Yeah, let's talk about MI3. J.J. Abrams to the rescue.
You say that, but I don't know if I deeply liked J.J. Abrams' rescue mission.
No, I'm totally on your side on this one.
Because I think that MI3 is my least favorite. It's my least favorite of all these movies.
Interesting. Why is that?
It's my least favorite. I don't. In terms of directing wise, it feels like J.J. Abrams' direction for this movie feels like like a TV version of. What'd you say?
I was listening to you, but you cut out.
Oh, Yeah, I thought Abrams' direction was just like a TV version of what Tony Scott would do. And also, J.J. Abrams kind of described this movie as he wanted to explore Ethan Hunt as the man and not the spy. But the problem with this movie is that we learn the same things that we already knew about Ethan Hunt again, and from learn all those traits are still there and nothing new is there other than we know that, well, he can love someone. Oh wait, but we already kind of figured that out in the second one, romantically involved with Annie Newton. So already it's kind of at that point it's kind of useless. But somehow this is a defining point in the series because J.J. Abrams' installment in this, for better or worse, depending on how, it very much is where the franchise went afterwards, and it very much is on this very storyline that you can follow. If you look back, I mean, you can kind of imagine that Ethan can probably find these people is because they were probably all connected to Philip Seymour Hoffman's character from the third movie, and thus that pretty much means that we're pretty much on the same story as starting from the third one to now, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right, though. I think it did feel like a TV show, which is something that you were saying a little more. And I just remember when I watched. I never, like I said, I did not see this one in the theater, and I remember being, hearing how great this movie was, and everybody's like, "Oh, J.J. Abrams, oh, it's so good." And I remember watching it, and I was severely let down by it. And I liked Philip Seymour Hoffman, but I really felt like everything that was going on it just did not hook me in a way I wanted to get hooked. I think it was a nice looking movie, but like I said, I was very let down. I did not like his whole "I'm going to kill myself to come back to life" shtick at the end. I just, the first one, like we were saying, was such a great spy, a throwback movie. The second one is such an over-the-top action movie. This one, I think, is the one that, like you said, the franchise kind of followed suit with this one. So in a lot of ways, I feel like it succeeded. Maybe it's like the necessary evil that it needs to keep forward. I think a lot of people, they over, and they think it's more than it ways. It's very bland to me. But the other thing, though, is all Rogue Nation and Fallout happened because of this movie. This is the one that also brought J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot into the producing side of things. So, it is kind of nice to see that when this one came about, they have kind of used this plan. It's not like every movie is just, let's make it up. We'll just make this up. And he's got Tom Cruise. He has long hair. He has long hair. Now he has short hair. It's more than that. It feels like, and they've kind of successfully for this now.
Yeah, I think with this one, I think also this was also during the time when Tom Cruise was also going through the "I'm jumping on the chair at Oprah" phase, where everything he did just was going insane. So I think he wanted this movie to kind of be like, I'm relatable. And there are some fun moments. I mean, there's a whole scene where he goes and gets ice. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see Tom Cruise, in a Jeep go get ice. I wished it was more, he didn't call to go and pick up ice or to go meet someone to go get ice. I wish it wasn't kind of that thing. I wish Billy Crudup was just there, and he then offered Ethan the mission. But I don't know. But the thing about Mission Impossible 3, it has for me the worst tendencies, or the tendencies or the traits of a J.J. Abrams. There is the mystery. There's the MacGuffin that never gets explained. There's that kind of, implying the mystery box in, with the rabbit's foot. And then there's, MacGuffin. And then it has a lot of the tendencies of a J.J. Abrams movie, but it's done in the worst way, because at the end of the day, it doesn't add anything. It just adds more style and most kind of cool, bravado thing. So I find MI3 just kind of, it started off this whole other trilogy that we're wrapping up, but as a film, it kind of adds to nothing. And also, I just feel like it wastes Michelle Monaghan as a lot. I think Julia's not really a character, and she's just used as a plot device to make us relate to Tom Cruise a lot more. And on top of that, she really didn't even need to be in this movie, because the movie just is not about her at all. Like, this movie is so focused on the Rabbit's Foot mission for so long that you just forget that, oh wait, there's a relationship going on. So to me, I feel like it's not it doesn't use that subplot of Julia very well, and it doesn't work more than just, I'm the girlfriend of Ethan Hunt, or I guess the wife of Ethan Hunt. So for me, I feel like it's a disappointment, but it's a disappointment in that you just never buy into anything that Abrams is selling.
I completely agree with you on that one and what you're saying. J.J. Abrams, he has this great thing with the mystery box and all that, and I feel like I don't even think he fully understands his own mystery box in a lot of ways, because we don't get it. And you're right about Monica. Like, her character is not developed. She's just a plot device, a plot tool. And like I said, I haven't seen Fallout, but she shows up in Rogue Nation at the very, very end. You kind of see her for 3.2 seconds at the end. Or is that Ghost Protocol? One of them you see her at the end. Yeah, this movie does suffer from a lot of J.J. Abrams.
Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, it was Protocol. Yeah. This movie does suffer from a lot of the J.J. Abrams tendencies, definitely. But the only thing is so many people love those tendencies that it truly baffles me in a lot of ways. But I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it does work occasionally. To me, it worked the best in Super 8, Cloverfield, and most of the actually a good bit of the deal in the Cloverfield movies, and then it worked very well in the Force Awakens. I think Abrams' thing his whole mystery box format can work. It just depends on how it's used and if he can make good characters and a good story around that plot device. Because
see, for me, I do a Star Wars podcast.
I think Abrams is very much interested in the mystery.
But the problem I have with his mystery box is I don't think he understands. Like, he's interested in the mystery, but he has no interest in solving the mystery. And so if they're like, it's almost like having puzzle pieces with no puzzle a lot of the times with it, and that is one of my biggest complaints with his movies as a whole.
Yeah, and I guess it works for the Force. It works for me in the Force Awakens because, especially when we saw it in theaters, we knew that Rian Johnson would give, some answers in his Episode 8. Regardless of how you feel about those answers is up to you. And then at the time, we thought Colin Trevorrow would, give us a definitive and more definitive answers. But now everything's kind of interesting with Abrams because now they've finished the trilogy.
Yeah, and I don't want any more who's the girl, and then we never go back to that. I want him, if someone asks who the girl is, you give me an answer to who the girl is. I don't want any more leading me down a path that I can't follow. Do-do-do, do-do-do, ba-dum-bum-bum,
Well, it's not
bum,
even,
bum, bum,
yeah.
bum. Sorry.
Yeah. It's not, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm just kind of, yeah, Abrams, your tendencies don't really, or your traits don't really work. But then again, Super 8 and The Force Awakens are kind of really good movies. So, yes.
I love Super 8, and I love Force Awakens,
We'll
too.
see how episode.
I love 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant movie.
So, Ghost Protocol?
Dubai!
Yeah, I do too. A scene is everything. It's everything cinema was meant to be. On my laptop, which I know that sounds disgraceful, but still, it's still super intense because it's believable. You believe Tom Cruise is hanging on this high-rise hotel, risking his life to perform.
Knowing Tom Cruise, he probably was.
This one scene, this one mechanical thing. Oh, he was. That was. He was literally hanging, and not only that, they were hanging an IMAX camera above his head.
The things he does for $8.95, I don't even know how cheap your ticket prices are anymore. Ours are so expensive here. But yeah, man, the things he does is insane. But can I tell you how I stumbled upon Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol?
Go ahead.
So like I said, I really love the first Mission Impossible. The second one was kind of whatever. The third one, I didn't really care for it too much. So I had completely lost interest in the franchise. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to see Ghost Protocol. I don't care. And everyone was like, but it's Brad Bird. And I was like, I don't care. So I didn't bother going to see it. And then one night, my wife and I were up. And we were in one of those states. When we're about to fall asleep, we'll just go to bed. So she had seen Ghost Protocol. And I said, how about we put on this Mission Impossible movie? It's on Netflix. She's like, yeah, I've seen it. It's whatever. I don't know. She was like, just kind of brushed it off. Like, yeah, whatever. I've seen it. So I put it on. And that is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made to this day. Because I was so invested in this movie from the get-go. We were just, that Dubai scene that we were just talking about. Like, and the whole movie had me hooked. I wanted more Ving Rhames. I'm a huge Ving Rhames fan. But, like, the movie just had me from beginning to end. And I was shocked, and it actually made me, like, it had my adrenaline going. Like, I was awake after. I'm like, I need to watch more. Can I watch it again right now? I absolutely loved Ghost Protocol. And I watched it with the hopes of it putting me to sleep.
I saw Ghost Protocol. This was the first one I saw in the theater and in IMAX, but I still wanted to see it because I heard of how incredible that IMAX footage just looked in general. So I went and saw it in a theater, and I loved every minute of Ghost Protocol. I thought it was just fantastic from beginning to end. And I was even getting vertigo during the Dubai scene just watching it in a traditional theater. Like, it was that intense.
Oh, it's one of the best scenes I've seen in a movie in a long time. It's just so good. I want to watch it right now. Can we stop this? Can I just turn it on and watch it right now? Because I remember when I saw the making video, I think it was like everybody was obsessed.
Well, we got to get through Rogue Nation.
No, Rogue Nation. Forget it. No, but that Dubai scene was, I would say, before I saw the movie, was very overhyped. I was getting tired of hearing of Tom Cruise scaling a building and I was getting tired of hearing about it. And then when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, here we go. Oh my God, it was worth it. I was like, this was underhyped. I need more hype on this. It's so good.
Yeah, it's just, God, yeah. It's just it is a really good movie. And while it is arguably the more episodic, and when I mean episodic, it's like it's a very standalone adventure of the films, but it still is riveting from beginning to end, and it's riveting because of Brad Bird's direction. Because Brad Bird just knows how to compose action, even in heavy dialogue scenes like the scene of where Tom Cruise and Jeremy Renner are antagonists talking to Lea Seydoux, assassin, and then Paul Patton is pretending to be Lea Seydoux with the real villains. I mean, incredibly well staged dialogue scene.
Yeah, Tomorrowland I think was a disappointment, but he brilliant directing, and it's nothing special, and I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean it's here you go, enjoy it. And nothing. He's not trying too hard. He's not making it. He's not overdoing any of it. It's like he's presenting it to you in a way that you enjoy as much as you enjoy your popcorn in your seat or whatever you're eating, ketchup chips, wink, wink, nod, nod, things like that. Like he just presents it in a way that you're just so invested, so presentable, cinematic, just so I can't say enough about it because I just mentioned Tomorrowland and I was excited to see Tomorrowland and that movie fell off the rails, I thought. But Mission Impossible, I would give Brad Bird any movie he wanted to do based solely on that any day of the week.
Yeah, Tomorrowland, I think Tomorrowland just kind of stumbles because Lindelof is a good writer. I think he knows how to world build. He's the best at world building for everything, and that's why I think the Watchmen series will do okay. But the thing is about Lindelof is the stories he chooses to tell in that world that he's wonderfully world building are kind of lame, or they're not as they kind of downsize they kind of how epic this world is. Like the world of Prometheus is so interesting and it's so fascinating that he's playing in and he's making at. But the story they choose to do is kind of lame. And I feel, and that's how I feel about Tomorrowland, is that the world of Tomorrowland is fascinating. It's a beautiful utopia, but the story they chose to tell is kind of who cares? Like, yeah, it's supposed to be, we should care about the environment, or we should care about building a optimistic future, but I want to see, but I want to be in that optimistic world. I want to be, Britt Robertson walking through every little thing in Tomorrowland.
For sure. I just gotta, going back to the Mission Impossible. Was this the movie? Like Jeremy Renner appears in this one. Was this the one where they were planning on shifting the franchise over to Jeremy Renner from Tom Cruise? Like, wasn't that the plan when they brought in Renner?
Yes.
That did not happen. Haha.
Yes. This was going to be Tom Cruise's last film, and Renner was going to take the reins. Yeah, it didn't happen. Yeah, poor Renner. Poor Renner. I mean, great actor who gets kind of, who for a little while got sucked into a lot of franchises. I mean, he was supposed to be the new Jason Bourne, with and that didn't happen. And then he was going to be the new quasi Ethan Hunt for this, franchise. But the problem, but I think halfway through filming, that wasn't gonna fly. So they brought in Chris McQuarrie to rewrite the script, to fix that, to revise that idea.
I like Jeremy Renner a lot. I think though I think Hollywood, maybe his agent, maybe him, they're using him in ways that he isn't. That these aren't these aren't the movies he should be doing. He's great. Like I really love him in like Wind River and The Town and things like that. And that's more of his forte. And I know you got to do the action movies to get the paycheck and whatnot. But you know what movie I do love Jeremy Renner in? And I think this is one of the most underrated movies. And it's not very good. Have you ever seen Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters? He is phenomenal in that movie. He plays Hansel with diabetes.
No.
I'm not going to tell you you're missing out, but you're missing out. But you probably won't like it, so don't watch it.
Hansel with diabetes. Interesting.
Yep, because he was kidnapped.
All right.
And he ate a lot of candy.
Right? Okay. I'll check that out soon. Oh, that's sick. Oh. But yeah, I do feel a little bad for Renner, and granted, I give Joss Whedon a little bit of credit because he actually gave like Hawkeye a story or something to do in Age of Ultron. I give, whereas, in Civil War, he's in like 2 scenes and then he's out. And then Avengers Infinity War, they had him on the payroll, but they didn't use him at all. And they may or may not use him at all in the second Infinity War movie. So
I didn't like him at all.
Yeah, I kind of, and then on Tag, his arms.
I haven't seen Tag yet, but I think he's great. Like he's awesome in Her Locker. Obviously, he's awesome in The Town. He's awesome in Wind River. And he's awesome in Whipped. There's this movie called Whipped. I'm pretty sure he's in Whipped. It's a romantic comedy from like 2000. You got to watch Whipped. It's with Amanda Peet. Let me see. I'll see if he's actually in it. I think that's the first time I ever saw him was in that. Oh, he was in SWAT. Remember the remake SWAT movie with Samuel L. Jackson? He was in SWAT. That was
years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm old, remember?
I know, but man, that was a long, because that had Colin Farrell and on Farrell Prime. Yeah.
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 He wasn't in Whipped, it doesn't look like coming up, but he definitely was in SWAT.
But yeah, I thought, okay, all right, but yeah, I feel bad for Renner as a whole because but then again, what's stopping them from making that Jason Bourne Alex crossover in the future? If they ever make another Jason Bourne movie,
I think Renner is just fine. No need to worry.
Yeah, and Jeremy Renner, he's doing good. Waste of 2017 because he was on contract for the Avengers movies, but then they didn't use him at all. And then Mission and actually he was off a small bit in Mission Impossible Fallout, but he passed on it. Renner was not happy. Renner, for very good reasons, was not happy with his experience on Rogue Nation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was supposed to be the new face of the franchise, and now he's, fourth fiddle, basically.
Other white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are we ready to go on to Rogue Nation?
Chris McQuarrie's in for the long haul. That was my intro for Rogue Nation.
Yeah, it helps that and you've had a long working relationship. Because I think that's why. Because I think that's why Tom Cruise or Christopher McQuarrie has been working with Tom for so long, because they just have had such a great rapport on Valkyrie, and that relationship's just been continuing for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed Valkyrie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember enjoying that movie more than I thought I would.
I I I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember really liking it. Like I remember liking it more than the David Fincher movie that came out there.
Yeah, I was surprised by it.
Yeah. So Christopher McQuarrie is in, and he was technically one of the writers on the fourth one, even though he didn't receive a credit. But he did, work on the fourth movie, and he did. And if you do pay attention to the end of Ghost Protocol, they do mention the Syndicate.
Yep.
They do mention the Syndicate as like the new mission. So fourth is basically, or the fifth one is basically a continuation of the fourth one. We're still on the same timeline, just maybe a year or two after Ghost Protocol. And I love Rogue Nation. It's still my favorite. It's my favorite of all six movies.
Yeah, that's I don't blame you for that, but I don't know many people who like it the best. I find most people like Protocol or 3 the best from just the idiots that I know. I'm with you though. Rogue Nation is my favorite.
I completely understand on 4. And I understand why people love 4. And I actually, in watching 6, I understand why people love 6 a lot. But for me, I think 5th has the stronger story, the stronger characters, and it cohesively moves in a very and also, I mean, Isla Foss's character and how she is developed, Elsa Foss's character in this movie, the way she's developed and the way you never know what she's going to do, and you never know which side she's on until it's revealed at the end what she really is. It's very well done, and even whose side she's on, she's still more interesting for it, because you wonder, well, how did she get to this point? How did she get to be so vulnerable in the eyes of British intelligence?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I genuinely liked this character, and I love that Rebecca Ferguson is coming back for these movies. I think she's great in these movies. And Elsa, down to a fine, down to the nitty gritty. I mean, she knows how to play this, in her sleep, and she is acting circles around everybody.
I had never heard of her until Rogue Nation, and I was she was so great. She's so strong, and yet she holds her own against all of these established A-list actors. I suppose she's opposite against, and you would never know. Like if I watched that movie and I didn't know who anybody was, I would think that she was in a million movies I had seen before that one, but I remember not knowing who she was when I watched Rogue Nation, and I'm pretty sure to this day I've never seen a movie prior to Rogue Nation with her in it. There's been enough after now, but before that I saw her in anything. Obviously she's been in a lot of stuff. I'm not saying she hasn't, but for me, as someone who watches things, I never really noticed her before, and I thought she was fantastic, and I was really happy that I have no idea what she does in Fallout, but I was really happy that character has returned.
Yeah, and kind of jumping ahead, use her again brilliantly for the sixth movie, but it's as interesting as it was in this one. But then again, this one had a very good character introduction to her. Like this one introduced her brilliantly in a cool and interesting way, and even ended her arc in the fifth one in a really interesting kind of old-fashioned movie way.
That's a really good way to look at it. An old-fashioned movie. I never thought of that, but you're dead on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even the whole movie feels very old-fashioned. It's definitely a movie of the 21st century, but it feels 40s, 1950s Humphrey Bogart movie of like the Casablancas and stuff like that.
Yeah, it has that element to it, which I think is what McQuarrie brings that more than anyone else to these movies.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And to go back to the behind the scenes, I mean, they didn't know what the third act was going to be for this movie until weeks before filming. Like they knew it was going to be in London. They wanted it to end in London, but literally until like a couple weeks, they had no idea, and they had no, and that kind of led to the frustration of Jeremy Renner's, because Jeremy Renner would have a steady schedule. He wanted to I think he just had a baby, his girlfriend just had a baby girl at the time. So he was kind of frustrated of having it of the very ever changing of Rogue Nation. So, cause they would literally be like, "Hey, we need you in London tomorrow, Mr. Renner. Can you be out there tomorrow?" And Renner was like, "I'm under contract. I guess I'll be out there." So, so it makes a little bit more come back for the sixth one, but still, it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked. I mean, I haven't seen Fallout, obviously, but I like the continuity of characters, and I like that they kind of, with Mission Impossible 3, they've kind of continued on, and Renner shown up, but I mean, I haven't seen Fallout, so I can't comment on if they even deal with him not being there. But I will say in Rogue Nation, I never felt like Jeremy Renner was crucial to anything. Do you know, I mean, he was there, he's cool, like I say, he's a fine actor and everything, but I felt like the movie could have worked without his character in a lot of ways. So I'm kind of not too bummed out that he's not going to be in Fallout. But that's just me. That's a personal thing on my end. And going back to like, oh, we're going to need you in London tomorrow. Can you make it? You got to wonder if that's the writer is also the director, and the writer has been writing for so long, is so well respected that he's like, you know what, let's just kind of do what we're doing, and we'll figure it out as we go. And maybe that makes it stronger in a lot of ways when you have somebody with that skill set, because one of the big things in Hollywood now, and everybody talks about and loves to talk about and loves to freak out about, is reshoots. But reshoots are there's a reason for reshoots. It's because when you cut it together, you're missing something. You got to go back there and you got to get it. And maybe when you have somebody of the skill set and caliber of Chris McQuarrie who's in there, while they're shooting it, they're like, wow, this is changing. What we envisioned in the script was this, but what we're getting is this. So let's just scrap what we have there. We're going to kind of make this up as we go along. This, and this going forward, instead of shooting whatever they were going to shoot and then in 5 months be like, guys, we messed up. We got to go back and we're going to need this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot. Instead, they did it on the fly.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing about Christopher McQuarrie is that he, ever since his film, the way he has been ever since that movie, basically a script doctor. Like he's worked on numerous productions, either or as they're filming or after, or they're in the editing room and they need to go get reshoots. So I mean, he's been in the war room, a lot of movies, particularly on blockbusters like Edge of Tomorrow and The Mummy, and Rogue One, where he comes in and tries to fix the script the best he can, and then they go and try and get those the stuff they need wrote, and then they try to put in the movie. So I mean, he's trying his darnest to. So on the Mission movies, he really does go out of his way to rewrite and reconfigure and to reshoot while he's filming the movie as they're going along to try and fine tune what the movie is. So, and that's been the case for both Mission Impossibles, is that Rogue Nation and Fallout, is that they would take a break, rather it be, for Rogue Nation, it was the Christmas break, where they, took time, where Eddie Hamilton and McQuarrie took time to look at what they had and see what they needed to fill in the gap. And then, for Fallout, it was when Tom Cruise had his ankle broken, they had a few weeks to go in and figure out what they needed and how to basically reconfigure the whole second act while Tom Cruise was recovering in rehab for his broken ankle. So, I mean that's is, and that's why the posts on both Rogue Nation and Fallout can be short. They can be shorter than most blockbuster schedules, because if you look at the post production for both movies, they're both like within 4 months, with a 4-month time period. But during that, for Rogue Nation, it was like 6 months of filming, and for Fallout, it was like 10 months of filming. It's not, they're shooting the whole movie all the way through. They're editing the movie, and then they're looking at the movie that they're making while they're filming, and going in and going, okay, we need to get these shots, and we need to go and do this. On both Rogue Nation and Fallout, they both had only like 3 days of pickups and reshoots during their post. So it's an incredible way. It's an exhausting way to make a movie, and an efficient way to make a movie. But from McQuarrie, that's how he does it. That's how he's been working for the last, ever since Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher, the first one.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my spill on how these movies are made.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's really, but yeah, I mean, and that's how these movies are made. And you're right. I mean, we shouldn't always freak out when we hear this thing is going into reshoots. I mean, my only thing would be about reshoots is it's okay to be nervous, but it depends on what the reshoots are for. If it's for, to redo a whole, basically to reconfigure a whole movie, maybe get a little what does that mean for the movie when they mean reconfigure? Is it to be more of what the studio wants? Reshoots, because a movie has reshoots doesn't mean a movie's going to be bad. It just means that they're going in and they're trying to fix it versus them trying to mess it up. It means they're trying to fix it, because I mean, if they didn't, because a lot of movies still don't do reshoots, and they just have to work with what they have because of either time or money, or just the fact that the actors they just can't make it to the set, so they just have to work with what they got. And on screen that that you think, well, why didn't they just redo that, or why didn't they just redo this? It's all because maybe they really just didn't have the time or money or resources or the actor to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I love Rogue Nation. It's really good. Also, kudos to Tom Cruise for the side of a plane, for my entertainment. So in IMAX.
I cannot wait to see Fallout.
In Fallout, you get 3 like incredible action sequences that are in each act of the movie. So, just kudos to Tom Cruise for, that's all I can say about this franchise. Kudos to Tom Cruise for doing dangerous and while doing it for the sake of our entertainment, just so we can sit in the IMAX theater with good sound and good projection, and we can watch you just do impossible, somehow miraculously survive.
Miraculously.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause, I mean, it's true. I mean, he almost died. like the amount of stuff he's doing at his age, and even before then, with the amount of what he's doing, it's just insane. It's insane that anyone would do that halo jump, or they would hang themselves on an airplane, like for real.
Yeah, but you know what? He knows what people
or hang
want to see.
themselves on the Dubai, building, or that building or that hotel in Dubai.
You got to give him credit. He knows what audiences want to see, and he knows that they want to see him doing these type of things. They know that they don't want to see a I mean, stunt doubles are great, and trust me, if I was an actor, I would 100% get a stunt double. But they know it's more real if it's him doing it. It creates more suspense, more of an atmosphere. People are going to go see it, and he's obviously right, because Fallout is the biggest opening of all of these Mission Impossible movies, and all you hear is, "Oh, the stunt that he does, the stunt that he does," and so you're going to see it, and it kind of has turned into like, Jackie Chan, when you're like, gotta go see Rumble in the Bronx because Jackie Chan does his own stunts, and gotta go see Johnny Knoxville fall off a slide because that's actually Johnny Knoxville. But now you're getting Tom Cruise in a movie that is going to be a decent plot with good action, doing some crazy ass stunt that you're gonna that you want to experience. You want to go see it on this big screen and be like, "Wow, that was crazy cool." And he gets that, and so he does it. And so we all sit back and we're like, "He's crazy." Yeah, he's crazy. But it's obviously it is very dangerous, but it's also a movie set where they're taking every precaution to make it as safe as humanly possible. So when he's holding onto the side of a plane, there's a little bit more going on than just his fingertips holding him down. But the illusion's there, and we all get it, and it's fantastic. And excuse me while I go to the theater to go see Fallout right now. I just bought my ticket online. Goodbye. I'm joking.
I finally convinced you to watch Fallout.
Hey, you don't have to convince me. I just need time.
But yeah, and it means a lot that we see him doing those stunts because it's more practical. It's real. It's more visceral and it feels real. Versus, and I don't mean to dog the Marvel movies or comic book movies in general, but I mean those action scenes where Black Panther or Tony Stark are fighting, they're fighting their antagonists, and it's all CGI. You get the emotional stakes still, but still it's at the end of the day it's a CGI thing fighting another CGI thing, and so you lose kind of you kind of lose some of that adrenaline when it's all it's all fake. And while yes, I know that it's movies, they're not realistic, they're not documentaries, but still it's it's still more visceral to see someone actually do a fight scene in the air, or it's more visceral to see Tom Cruise weaving through Paris traffic in a motorcycle and then ram into and literally fly and then literally get ejected into another part of Paris. So it's more visceral to see that. So that's why you'll hear a bunch of people say the Mission Impossible franchise is the best action franchise around, because it's Tom Cruise doing it, and arguably 5 out of 6 of these movies are actually really good. So with good plots, good characters, and you can put any one of them on at any point and not get lost in the story at all.
Yeah, totally. They're just it is somehow over time become one of the most solid franchises most solid, reliable franchises that you're going to get a good time, whether it's in the theater, on Netflix, on DVD, Blu-ray, Betamax, whatever the heck you watch movies on. You're in for a ride, and there's nothing more that you can ask for. They never try to be anything other than they are. And I think looking back, what we said about, the first one, the second one, maybe the third one's going, but all of them kind of understood what they were, and they stuck to their guns on what they were. And so the first one is the spy thriller, the second one is the over-the-top action, but they all kind of understand what they are. And as an audience, we've understood that, and now we know when there's a Mission Impossible movie coming out, we know that it's going to be worth the 10, 12, 15, whatever we're spending on a movie ticket to go see it. We know that we're going to get our money's worth on that picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Like, this is a really great franchise, and I'll be sad when it eventually ends because I know that. Because I know, I mean, you got to think. I mean, yeah, Harrison Ford did, Indiana Jones 4 when he's 5, and in the next year or two, he's going to be doing Indiana Jones 5. So I mean, it's possible for old actors to do it, but the do we want to stick around when Tom Cruise is in his 70s and he's still trying to jump out of a spaceship from Mars and then fly to Earth, flying to catch somebody?
I think
Okay, maybe I do.
I definitely want that. No, I think there will be a time for these movies to stop. And I think I actually think Tom Cruise, they're gonna know when that time comes. I think they're gonna know, and it'll be like, okay, this is, I mean, look, the studio will be like, let's keep pumping him up, get Jeremy Renner back, But I think there's gonna be a time when Tom Cruise says, I've done everything I could. I have to move on. Let's wrap this up. And for all I know, Fallout's the one that does that because I haven't seen it yet.
I'll say this. It's possible they can do a 7th one, but I wouldn't be frustrated if they don't. If that makes any sense, because
Yep.
It's so hard to explain, but I wouldn't be terrible. I wouldn't be disappointed if they stopped at 6, because I know that Tom Cruise is working on Top Gun 2 or Top Gun Maverick, and that might be, action movie hurrah before he goes back to doing more dramas. I mean, yes, he did American Made. That was, Doug Liman. But still, who knows? But I mean, who knows how much more movies he's got? Because I mean, it's pretty much a guarantee that the Universal Dark Monster universe is dead. That's pretty much that's pretty much done for. And but I mean, he still could do Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. Or he could do Top Gun 3 after Top Gun 2. Who knows? Or another Mission Impossible. But sooner rather than later, we're going to enter into the Tom Cruise. I think we're going to enter into the Tom Cruise period where he just does more dramas before he says good night in to that good son. I don't know what I just said, but there you go.
It sounded very emotionally smart.
Yes.
Do.
So do we have any more thoughts on Mission Impossible?
I think I've said everything, because for me personally, because I feel like this is a franchise, like you said, if Fallout, if the 6th one happens to be the final one, then so be it. But I've never seen a franchise where the 4th movie in a franchise has hit, and I'm like, well, I want to see 100 more of these. Usually by the 4th one, I'm like, they need to wrap this up because it is terrible. And I'm looking at you, Die Hard. I'm looking at you. But for somehow Mission Impossible, they got this new, and maybe it's J.J. Abrams. He's like, we got to course correct this franchise here. But whatever happened, Ghost Protocol just created like this new excitement towards it, towards the entire franchise, and it's instead of going backwards, it's been going forwards, and I'm just on board with this friend, like no other friend. Like, look, I love Star Wars. Like I said, I have a Star Wars podcast that I do. But even, the Star Wars movies, I don't feel like go forward, half as much as these Mission Impossible movies. I can never, like, you watch Ghost Protocol and it's like, this is so damn good. Then you, wow, this is also really good. And then, you know, Fallout, I have heard that it might be too long, and I've heard some people, whatever, but I'm excited. It doesn't matter because the last two ones have just been getting better. And I'm like, how does a franchise do this? How is it not franchise fatigue 6 movies in?
I mean, it's impossible. I mean, one could make the case for the Fast and Furious franchise.
Ooh, nice.
But then again, I mean, those first 2 movies are rough. It took a while for that franchise to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was, you know what, the difference there too is Fast and Furious is kind of like every 2 years, whereas Mission Impossible was like, it felt like it was a grind getting the next one and the next one. Like, they just pump them out. They're like, yeah, pump. And that's the difference there. But I will say Fast and Furious 8, I thought was, you know, it's not a good movie at all, but it's highly, highly entertaining.
Yeah, and I just don't care for Too Fast, Too Furious. I think you know, there's some funny moments, but I think it really does look like a USA like TV episode, like something you would see on the USA Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I actually do like the third one. I like Tokyo Drift, and then fourth one's okay, and then everything else after 4 has been just like really good.
Yeah, because they've stopped taking it, you know, maybe just like Mr. Possible. They're kind of like, this is what we are. Let's live in this moment. And somehow you know exactly what you get. How did this turn into a Fast and Furious podcast? But, you know, you know what you're getting. You accept it. You sit down and you're like, okay, bring it. And they do every time. They give you, they never deviate from the Fast and Furious brand or plan. They don't try to be like, oh, this one's going to be intellectual. No. There is a baby with earmuffs on, and they're going to have a gun, like a shootout on a plane while Jason Statham tries to save the baby. And you're just like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. Let's finish this off.
While Luke Evans is flying the plane. Yeah, and we'll get to. Oh wait, we did do a retrospective on those Fast and Furious movies. I already did those. Huh. Yeah.
Don't worry, there's going to be more of them.
Because Fast and Furious. Or the Fate of the Furious. Yeah, I mean, there's the Hobbs and Shaw and Hobbs movie next year, and then they're going to do 10 back both like with a year apart. So, and maybe 10 will be the final one. Who knows?
Who knows?
It all depends on if you guys or not. So, James, are you ready to wrap this up? Yeah,
sure.
So, James, I hear you mentioned earlier you do a Star Wars podcast. What is that?
Yeah, I do a Star Wars podcast called the Rebel Scum Podcast on YouTube. The YouTube, it is a website on the interwebs where you can watch videos. We've been doing it for 2 years now. Our 2-year anniversary show is coming up. We literally just, my friend Brock and I, we just talk about Star Wars.
Did you do your Twitter handle?
No, you can follow me on Twitter at Petzafina, which is at PEZZAFINA, where I talk about, whatever I feel like talking about.
And you can find me on Twitter at MovieKale, and you can also follow the show at The Youth Critic. And you can also follow the channel that distributes this podcast at KHZ Network. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back with you on Monday for...
Why you survived?
I'm sure we can find something I have that you need.
I'm sexual! No one sent me.
These guys are trained to be ghosts. Let's not waste time chasing after him. Just make him come to us. Find something that's personally important to him, and you squeeze.
This whole operation was a decoy.
I can understand you're very upset.
You've never seen me very upset.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.